Well, good morning, everyone, or should I say good afternoon to those on the East Coast. My name is Larry Levine, author of Selling from the Heart. And over the course of the next 30 minutes or so, I think you're going to be in for a ride. And it's really bringing Selling from the Heart to life, but it's really unlocking the untapped potential in your client base. And I think we all have the potential to untap what we have inside of our client base. It's going to require a little bit of work, but I'm just asking you to sit back, enjoy the ride, and let's just dive right into this. And I want to talk about there's two ways to grow sales. And on the left, you're going to see it's all about prospecting. And this could be all forms of prospecting, but that's what we sign up for as sales professionals. We sign up to prospect. That's how we're going to grow our business. That's how we're going to nurture our business. That's how we're going to expand our business. But what I found out in the field was the best way to leverage new opportunities, the best way to grow sales was leverage your client base. And if we can really dig in and leverage our client base, it's going to help us with referrals. It's going to help us with cross-selling opportunities. And it's going to help us with upselling opportunities. So let's dive into what we're really talking about is leveraging our client base. And I'm a big believer now with the age of digital and social, and as we smash this all together in terms of how we manage our client base, I want us to think about one thing right now is how are you socially surrounding your client base? So that means how are we interacting with them and connecting to them face to face, but how are we leveraging the power of social to connect to them? What's interesting is there's a quote that came out of one of my favorite books. It's a Challenger Customer, written by Matt Dixon and Brett Adamson. And they went on to say is there's an average of 6.8 decision makers in a B2B buying decision. So what's that mean to us as salespeople? Well, if we know there's 6.8, or let's call it 7 people involved in that B2B buying decision, then I'm going to ask you must now get to know 6 or 7, sometimes even more than that, people inside your accounts. So if you can see here where it says your key contact, that could be your key company, that company that you're working with. But I'm going to ask you now, let's start looking at this in 3 ways. And I'm going to look at this as upper level, mid-level, and lower level management. I'm going to ask you, how many people do you really know inside of every single one of your accounts? So let's start thinking about that socially surrounding those accounts. And what do I mean by that? We have to protect our base. And the best way to do that is build, and I always refer to this as let's build Fort Knox around your base. Let's connect with those decision makers. Let's connect with those key influencers. Let's connect with them on the social channels that they communicate on as well. This could be LinkedIn or it could be other forms of their social channels. But what I want you guys to start thinking about is start looking for opportunities to drive more conversation with your current clients. And I'm a firm believer, one of my favorite quotes is listening is the new prospecting. How well are you listening to your current clients? I want you to start thinking about finding those additional opportunities and mine those opportunities to be able to ask for referrals or to be able to help them solve some of their business problems. We'll dive into this. The whole idea now is not just get to know 1 or 2 people or that person who signs the deal, but you have to really plug the holes as I, speak to, as far as how many of these people are you connected to inside of every single one of your accounts. So there's a caution here, and I write about it in my book, Selling from the Heart, is I want to make sure that you get valuable before you get visible. And let's peel this one back, is we're in an age of the digital world right now where everyone's fighting to be seen, everyone's fighting to be heard. But how many have valuable conversations? So if we peel this one back even farther, is how many of us are having valuable conversations with our current clients? That means that we're going to have to start understanding their issues, their challenges, and educate them, lead with insight. And those 6 or 7 touch points in every single one of our accounts, we have to lead with value first. It's okay to be seen, but I want you guys to be valuable before you get visible. That means socially surrounding your client base. And here's a good example of this, and I'm going to share just a quick story. I'm out here in Southern California, And actually, a very close friend of mine, I coached to, and I actually coached his sales team on how to socially surround not only their current client base, but this plays out when you're out prospecting for new business as well, is if you don't start surrounding your client base, you don't know where an entry point can be had from one of your competitors. And this person actually built a fort around a competitive account. It's the same way he built that fort around his current clients, but he found an entry point in through the IT channel that his competitor wasn't plugging the hole, hadn't built a relationship. The relationship was built at the top, and that was it. That's okay, but we got to expand beyond that. And over time, he's able to educate, lead with insight, and he took down a competitive account well past 6 figures by surrounding competitors' accounts the same way this person surrounded his client base. So I want you to think about the impact of socially surrounding your client base and how that plays in growing net new business, retaining that business, but expanding the business as well. And I'm a firm believer, once we start surrounding our client base, we have to start thinking about now, how do we provide that outstanding experience? And I write about it in my book, Selling from the Heart, is if you don't care for your clients and provide them an outstanding experience, I guarantee there's somebody waiting in the wings to enhance the experience. And I'm going to peel this one back even farther, is what do I mean by an outstanding experience? It's not just stopping by and checking in, hey, how you doing? And the typical, can I buy you lunch or donuts on a Friday or birthday cakes? That's fine. I get it. It's part of that relationship building. But what are we doing to enhance the experience? What are we doing to provide that wow factor to where they're going to go, you know what? I really enjoyed doing business with you. And then we can fill in the blanks. But we got to really dig in and we got to dive into this. But everybody's looking for the experience. The people on this call, they're looking for their personal experience when they're out. Whether whether you go out to eat somewhere or you're going to movies, we're all looking for that outstanding experience. Now we're going to have to apply that to how we work with our clients. So let's look at this. What's it mean? And I think the biggest thing is just show them that you care. And we talk about it on the Selling from the Heart podcast, and we'll make sure that we get a couple of links to the podcast. But we talk about, that client experience. That's your competitive advantage. And even as we dive into this more, let's just look at this as far as, first class on an airplane. First class is not a seat, it's experience. It's the same thing when working with your clients. I want you to start thinking about asking them about their business. Learn about what they're working on. Understand their issues and their challenges. And this is, I just thought about this as, we're heading into almost the end of October. We've got a couple more months left. This would be a great time to go face to face with your top clients. Ask them, what are some of the things that you're working on over the next 60 days? What do you need to clear off your plate between now and the end of the year? Put pen to paper and take some notes around that. You may or may not be able to help solve them directly, but I can guarantee you that the more you learn about your clients, the more that you can help them. It may not be you, but it could be somebody in your circle of influence or that's in your network, which leads to, let's start thinking about leveraging your network to help solve their problems. And send referrals to them. Start being that true partnership we talk about. Hey, we want to be your value-added partner. We want to be your partner. Then start learning about them. Ask about their business. Learn about what they're working on. Continue to educate and engage with them past the sale. I can't stress this enough. It's not okay to sell and go. We must dig in and educate and engage with them past the point of sale. And quite simply, if you want to provide an outstanding experience, why don't you just live up to your promises? Live up to exactly what you said you were going to do throughout the whole journey, and then show you care. And I always say, I'm a big believer, you got to tug on the heartstrings of your clients. And that's the core foundation of selling from the heart, is you got to show you care, and you got to lead with your heart, and you can't lead with the wallet. You got to show that you're genuinely there to help them do better business. And it's about developing a current client cadence. So what's this mean? So I'm going to share with you what I took out in the sales field. And I spent 28 years on the streets of Los Angeles in the office technology space. And I took this to heart working with my clients. I'm going to ask you to think about the same thing. Is it's a 3-step process? Is this going to require a little bit of work? Yes, it will, but I guarantee you this will pay off. As I want you to start thinking about developing a quarterly business review process. And that means sticking to it every 90 days. I'm going to give you some tips here on a couple other slides. How do we effectively drive quarterly business reviews? How do we do effective monthly walkthroughs? Now, some of you may not be able to effectively walk through the businesses that you work with. They may not be in your marketplace, or they may, but we can still leverage a technology there, whether that be Zoom or whether that be GoToMeeting or whether that be Skype. You can still see them. You can still do monthly walkthroughs. And I want you to start developing consistent touch points with each contact. We talked about those 6.8 or 7 people involved in a B2B buying process. Those are going to be the same people I'm going to ask you to get in contact with within your client base. So what do we look for? What are we looking for inside of our client base? Well, there's a couple different ways to look at this. We can look at sales opportunities to drive conversations. So this could be job changes that are going on inside that company. It could be their quarterly reports. If it's a company that you can have access to, start picking through their quarterly reports. Look for business problems. And if they're expanding, those are great opportunities to drive conversations. The other thing that we got to look for, what are some of the conversation topics that you can get involved with your current clients? I'm a huge fan and believer of community involvement. So every single one of your clients, I guarantee you this, supports some type of a charity. They do some type of volunteering. Think about how you could drive conversation around a common cause with your current clients. Maybe your current clients are doing some new product launches that you can drive a conversation with or even help them out with. If one of your clients won a big contract or there's been some job promotions, these are all great ways to start driving conversations. But what's interesting is it goes back to this whole listening. We got to start listening to our current clients better. And that just doesn't mean walking in and asking them questions. This means we got to listen to what they're communicating out on social. That's a wealth of opportunity. So how can we provide an outstanding client experience? And what I'd like to do is I'd like to share with you a story. And it's in the book. It's in my book, Selling from the Heart. But I'd like to share with you, it's a relationship that I started years and years and years ago. This is several decades ago with an organization called Johnny and Friends. And it started off by, yes, old-fashioned prospecting, pulling doors, door knocking, cold calling, however you all want to refer to it. But over time, I was able to build those relationships by showing that I cared about them, learning about their business. But then I tied in the quarterly business reviews. I tied in the monthly cadence of seeing them. I would walk the halls of this company, shaking people's hands, saying, thank you for doing business, meeting multiple people in that organization because I was seen there. If you can walk the halls of your current clients' businesses, this is a great way to start looking for opportunities, uncovering opportunities, and showing that you're visible. We talked about value and visibility. What a great way to be seen inside your client base on a consistent basis, that you're there to help. And what happened is over time, the chief financial officer and the IT officer at Johnny Friends would say, you know something? You come in here and you show that you care. You're coming in here building relationships. And we appreciate that because you're not coming in here every single time trying to sell us something. And I want everybody on this webinar to think about that for a moment. How many times are you walking into your clients' offices with your sales hat on, trying to sell them something? Granted, that's the nature of what we do, but I want you to think about providing an outstanding client experience may not involve selling something, maybe helping them do something, building that credible relationship, providing value, helping them do better business. And then when you need to put that sales hat on, it's a lot easier to do. I really want you guys to start thinking about how do you provide an outstanding client experience. The last thing is I want you to start thinking about How are we conducting quarterly business reviews? And I'm a huge fan of quarterly business reviews. I coach sales teams on how to effectively do quarterly business reviews. And here's a big fan of Selling from the Heart and Deb Calvert. She's been on the podcast several times, but she's got a great quote in her book, Stop Selling and Start Leading. It's when you give your buyers feedback, you're giving them a gift. And let's think about that for a moment. When you give your buyers feedback, you're giving them a gift. And that feedback is your knowledge. That feedback is sharing education, is leading with insights, helping them to do better business. And here's an idea as far as conducting quarterly business reviews. Is I want you to start thinking about developing a cadence around, and to me, this is a great way to uncover new business opportunities. This is a great way to cross-sell opportunities, upsell opportunities. Come up with a plan that says, in the beginning, this is how we're going to start reviewing what's going on. I want to uncover your goals and your initiatives. And this is just repeated every 90 days. It's a great way to start leading. Hey, here's some of your goals that you, especially what we're sitting in the middle of Q4. This would be a great opportunity. What are some of the issues and challenges? What are some of the goals you'd like to accomplish? And you carry these over quarter. What's happened over the past 90 days? This is a great opportunity for you to share what you've observed and then ask them about their business. What's happened over the past 90 days? Share with them the current situation that's going on, any current open issues. And again, I think the biggest thing to stress here is start thinking about becoming vulnerable with your current accounts. And that means just, I always say, rolling it up, getting a little bit dirty, and that's okay. But roll it up and really dive in there and, tug on them and say, how can I help you? There's always going to be issues and challenges. I get it, but how fast you resolve those is I want us to start taking a look at sharing the current situation, but any open issues. What are some issues and challenges? How could we help you do better business? We want you to start looking for potential opportunities inside the account. And these potential opportunities are going to come from the more active you're in these accounts, the more that you're listening, the more that you're learning about your clients, the more potential opportunities you're going to help them solve their business issues, their challenges. Come up with some next steps. Come up with some follow-up items. Quarterly business reviews, to me, are the single best way that you can drive new business opportunities. And then you might want to share with them, what do you need to accomplish in the next 90 days? And this is another great way, is as we start rolling into the first quarter, is if you start doing some of these now, what are some of the things that you're working on in the next 90 days, heading into the start of the new year? And then always have a referral page. Your best source, and I always say this, is your 1 degree of separation from your best sales opportunity. A lot of times we just don't know it because we're not connected real deep with our current clients, but we just don't ask for help. Your clients are connected to other people. And I always share this. I said, you know what? We bust our backside for our clients. We would jump over fences for our current clients. So why not ask them to help you grow your business? And I think the single best way to do this, and I might share this with you, is just go, I'll just use Joe as an example. Hey, Joe, I've enjoyed the opportunity. Thank you for allowing me to serve you and your company over the past year. Who in your circle of friends, who in your circle of influences, who with similar type positions that you might know that you might be able to help me and refer me to? Another great way is if you're connected to your current clients, why not become proactive? Look through their network and find 4 or 5 people that you'd like to be introduced to and share it with that person. Hey, Joe, I know that you're connected to these 5 people. How well do you know them? Would you be able to bridge an introduction? Would you be able to send them an email on my behalf? And watch what starts to happen. But quarterly business reviews, in my opinion, are the single best way to help you grow your business. And excuse me, as we start thinking about quarterly business reviews, start thinking about it. Start thinking about your top 5. And I always say, go back to your top 5. Start there. Start practicing quarterly business reviews with your top 5. And then you go to your next 5. And then you go to your next 5. And you come up with a cadence. And at the end of every quarterly business review, you're going to schedule that next quarterly business review and have it on your calendar. And I just wanted to give you some short tips on the webinar. Hopefully you found some nice tips here, things that you could take. And I always say this isn't complicated. And I always say this isn't rocket science. If you wanted to meet a rocket scientist, I'll introduce you to my dad. But growing your business is simple. It's going back to your current clients, getting better acquainted with your current clients, understanding their business, developing that cadence around it, and conducting quarterly business reviews. And as I leave you with this is selling from the heart, how your authentic self sells you, has been great. It's been out 30 days, and I can't thank everybody enough for the positive reviews. So what I'll ask you to think about is, allow me to motivate your team in Q4. I'd be more than happy to conduct virtual Selling from the Heart sales meetings, and I'll provide copies of the book for your sales team members. And let's think about, as you start planning sales kickoffs, I got limited slots over the course of, obviously, sales kickoffs into Q1. I'm more than happy to have a conversation. But more importantly, I'm going to ask everyone, stay true to yourself, be genuine, be the real version of you, take phenomenal care of your current clients. They're the best source that you have to help you grow your business. And more importantly, sell from the heart. Thank you for attending the webinar. I'll make sure that links to our podcast and links to some blogs get sent out to everybody. On that note, you have a great day, and thank you very much.